Full moon in Capricorn and the institutional crisis and shock of the markets. This is what this full moon will show us and show to the world. So, in this video, I will analyze everything that is related with this Capricorn full moon, and we are going to see how the astrology is explaining and saying to us that this is a moment where the societies, the people, you and me, and population all around the world specifically is going to be against their leaders, because the leaders are going to suffer a big wound in their power. Specifically, this is, I think, the first step that we are going to see about this collapse of institutional and governments. Why? Because the South Lunar Node is going to be getting into Leo, and that is talking about something really important, something that is closing, is a closure with those kind of governments or leaders that they like to be the center of the scene. In Leo specifically, Leo is the house where the ruler is the sun, and the sun in mundane or social astrology are the leaders. So this is the theme for this video, and I also will be explaining why I think that we are going to be a big shock in the markets and everything that is related with economy, finances, everywhere and all around the world. A big shock, specifically also. I think because the entering of Chiron in the sign of Toro, which I made a video a few days ago, I talk about in that video about the things that are related with the previous sign of Chiron in Toro and the big crisis of the 30s that happened in United States. Is so at the theme with this Chiron, because when that happened in the past, Chiron was in Tauro also. So this is not a casualty, this is not something random, this is specifically the big economic crisis that the world is going to be facing around resources, quality of life, and everything that's related also with agriculture and the I think the people, the conditions of life of the people, societies, and the population. So let's start with this video. I thank you all for subscribing and share, and also I will be reading your comments about maybe your opinion or something related with the things I will be explaining. Okay, so let's start with this chart that you are seeing in the screen, okay, because this is the chart of the full moon, and we are seeing here the moon. We see here in the bottom of the chart the sun. Okay, this is happening in the 6 degrees of Capricorn, and this is the full moon. Always is a moon in opposition with the sun. This is a fight. Okay, the moon, as I said before, is the people, society, population. They are occupying the 10th house, and the 10th house is the house of the power of the governments. So it's important that we see here that the moon is in that house, okay, because it's like the roles are like in a big polarization, because the sun is in the 4th house, where is is the house of the people, the moon. Also, we have to understand that the 10th house ruler by Saturn, because Saturn is a ruler of Capricorn, and Saturn is in the rising, the ascendant of this chart of the full moon. So Saturn in Aries is taking, like I think the first light, and is getting in control of the scene, like the everything that is building right now in these new initiatives of this new world, and the new rules, of the world, the new rules in the markets, the new rules about the resources, the new rules about the conditions of life, and everything that is related with the things that we are seeing happening around the world, specifically with the war and everything. I left a video here about those themes about that the peace was not for real, and you see right now what is happening. So and now we have Saturn in the taking the scene, taking, you know, taking the command of this astrology timing. And this is important because the Saturn also is in a square. I will show you here. Saturn is in a square with the moon and in a square with the sun. And we have here an opposition, okay? And this is a really conflictive aspect, you know, because we have an opposition related with two squares, and this is a point of big tension, okay? And I really think that this full moon is showing us the beginning, okay, of this collapse of the leadership and how they are building their power, okay? And the moon is going to be against them. The moon is not believing anything. You know, I think that the credibility is a theme here because the people is not believing in their leaders anymore. They are not believing in the state. They are not believing in the, you know, like the foundation of things. And I think that it's not only about some character specifically, you know, like maybe Donald J. Trump or maybe Starmer or maybe, I don't know, some other leaders, you know. This is talking about the crisis of the system, you know, like people are no longer believing in those systems or those organizations that they're supposed to be who take cares of them. They are like questioning everything. They are not believing in anything, and I think that is the crisis. The crisis is the lost, you know, sorry, I lost my microphone. The loss of confidence in the establishments, you know, the establishments all around the world, and from or for every single aspect, you know. So as I said, the moon is against the sun, against the leaders everywhere and all around the world, and we are going to see masses moving, specifically, I think, in a lot of countries, in a lot of places, masses asking that their leaders take some kind of decisions and control over the situations, okay? And Saturn is ruling the chart. Saturn is, you know, like, is a law. Saturn is control. Saturn is the limits. Saturn is boundaries, is, you know, like restriction of things. And Saturn also wants to build something that is sustainable. So something that has, you know, like basis. And I think this Saturn in Aries is talking about those things. You can see how Saturn is going to be making a big pressure for the people and the restrictions that they are going to be feeling, financially speaking, in their countries, in with this aspect of the fight with their representations, and also is making some point of tension with the square to the sun. It's also going to be pushing through the world those leaders who are now like in some disbalance, you know, something that is a fight for the power. And I think both of them are going to be feeling this Saturn pressure, the Saturn tension, and he's asking that this needs to be taking some order, you know, some kind of explanation, some kind of clarifying the way or clarifying the ideas, and where are we going, okay? So this is really important. And also we have here in the second house, I will show you this because it's really important, that Mars is getting Gemini already, and Uranus is in the third degree of Gemini. So Mars, the first thing that Mars is going to be encountering in Gemini is going to be Uranus, and this is like a big shock, you know, and a big explosion. I think that we could have some shutdown, energetically speaking. I think that we are going to see more accidents. We have to be careful with the routes, if you are traveling, aviation also, okay, airports and all related to that, and also the war that is going to be starting, commercially speaking, okay, because this commercial war started the last year when Donald J. Trump was taking place in the themes of the new negotiations in between countries, the numbers and everything that is related with that. And I think this is coming again, okay, with a big problem again, with a big shock, because um, obviously Uranus is changing the rules, commercially speaking, and Mars is going to be activating the forces, who is more powerful than who, and who is going to be ruling what passages, what routes, and everything that is related with that, the transportation of things and energy and all of that. And also, we have to understand that this is also taking place in Gemini. They are going to be joined together. Mars is he makes a complete wheel about 2 years, so he is now encountering Uranus, and he will not be again with Uranus in Gemini until the next 2 years. So this is not something random. This is something specific here in this moment in time, with this full moon that is full of tension. Remember that the full moon is a moon of light. Okay, everything is there for you to see, and it's not. It's impossible to hide things. So that's the most important thing about the full moons, that something is revealed for every one of us. So this is going to be a big fight, and we have to understand that in this chart, specifically of the full moon, we are seeing here these two planets getting together in the second house. The second house is a house of economy, finances, where are the markets, everything that is related with the resources of the earth, and all those aspects. So I think we are going to be seeing a big shock in the markets, something that is going to be like a surprise, something that maybe anyone saw that coming, but is exploding everywhere, and I think that maybe some people will be taking actions with the investments, okay, and maybe if you have some investment, I don't recommend you right now to take some actions immediately, because maybe here we are seeing like a big shock, but then everything could be restarting and getting some order. So, but I think a lot of people are going to be like for fear, if you get kind of scared, maybe you lose everything, and I think that a lot of people is going to be taking the money out, and there is where you are going to be losing a lot of money. Okay, so um, a lot of actions, movements, okay, and this fight for who is going to be controlling who is controlling the scene, the communication, who is ruling these aspects and this theme. So this is really important. We have to understand also that Jupiter is saying goodbye in the Cancer sign, and I think that this is something really complicated again, because Jupiter works about in Cancer. He works all the things about nationalism, patriotism, like protectionism and those words. But now Jupiter is in opposition with Pluto in the 11th house, where are the masses, the groups. So again, something that the common ratio of people are not believing anymore in those concepts. Like it's like the like the words are falling down, and like everything that was maybe those leaders promised, and everything is showing, I'm sorry, now that those promises didn't have like basis, and didn't accomplish. So that is the deceivement, okay, that the people will be feeling or will be experiencing with the leaders. Okay, so I will share with you some of my slides about these themes. Let me see here. I have some material. Okay, let's take that out of the. Okay, the full moon in Capricorn, June 29, 2026. What was hidden can no longer remain so. Okay, and we are seeing what is a full moon in Capricorn. A full moon is a moment of maximum illumination in the lunar cycle. What has been gestating in the shadow surface, not as a possibility but as a visible fact. When the full moon falls in Capricorn, the focus lands on power, governments, institutions, the structures that hold or should hold the world order together. Capricorn is not emotional, it's cold, calculated, and concrete. With what it illuminates, it does not illuminate with drama, it illuminates with data, with results, with the most uncomfortable question that exists: what actually remain after all of this? This moon open an axis of 6 months period. What comes to light now does not go back into hiding until the cycle is going to be closing. Okay, the sun is in Cancer. In the moon is in Capricorn, the axis. What gets exposed? The sun in Cancer, the people, basic security, the territory, what a nation needs to sustain itself from within. And the moon in Capricorn, the government, the leadership, the image of states before the world. So, a full moon, these 2 points oppose each other. The face off directly. The distance between what governments promised and what populations are living becomes exposed without a filter. The world emerged from months of active war in the Middle East, with the Strait of Hormuz under tension, fragile agreements on the table, and the energy crisis that has not yet finished processing. The question this moon installs is direct. Who paid the real cost of everything? Okay, that answer will be not be available over the next 6 months. Jupiter at the 29 degree of Cancer, the cycle that is closing, okay, because he is in the final degree, the critical degree, where he is in the most expressive ways, okay. Jupiter spends approximately 1 year in each sign. During its signs through Cancer, it expanded everything that the sign represents on a global scale: protectionism, the retreat toward the domestic, food and security policies, discourses of national sovereignty. The 29 degree is the final, the point of overflow. Jupiter arrives there at the exact moment of the full moon, okay? Hours away from entering in Leo and beginning of an entire different cycle. This is going to be a really difficult cycle. This Jupiter in Leo will be getting us in the El Nino phenomenon. So I will be speaking then about this in other video, the climate conditions and the heat and fires and everything that is related with that. And also we have to understand that Jupiter is expanding everything, but not always expanding good things. He could expand the good or the bad depending on what aspects and which planets he will be encountering. And he will be encountering the south lunar node, the closure of something, and the eclipses. And also he is entering Leo in a position with Pluto in a square with Chiron in the sign of Taurus. So be ready and be prepared, because this is a big shift for your life and for the world as we know it. So everything promised under the umbrella of protecting what is ours now reaches its point of maximum exposure. Did it work? Who did actually protect? What was left out? The Jupiter cycle in Cancer closes here, okay? Also, Saturn is in Aries, squaring the axis of the full moon, the pressure that does not negotiate. A square is not an opposition that you can negotiate something in the middle. In a position, maybe in the middle we can have some kind of agreement, but in the square, it's a lateral pressure, unexpected, and it gives no warning. Okay, so Saturn, the planet of structure, restriction, and accountability in Aries, it acts impatiently, directly, and without detours. In this chart, is squaring both the sun and the moon simultaneously, pressing governments and population at the same time from the same point. Okay, Saturn rules Capricorn, the sign of the moon in this chart, and the position places it in the most visible spot on the ascendant or rising sign in the general atmosphere of the world. What it activates that not happen in offices. It happens in the street, in the markets, in the daily life of populations. Okay, the message is simple. Neither governments nor population have comfortable room to maneuver in this period. The restrictions are real, are structural, and will not be resolved with announcement, something that the leaders will be, like saying with their microphones and everything. No, this is something that is not passing by without showing us something stronger and with facts. Okay, so they are so resolved or not with concrete results or outcomes. Okay, Uranus in Gemini is squaring the nodes. This is something really important because it is a squaring of destiny. Uranus is kind of, maybe you started some things in the beginning of this 2026, and maybe you've been saying like, okay, I will be making these changes, those things. I started this movement, this project, and everything. But now Uranus square the nodes, and the nodes are destiny. Okay, they are mathematical points, so they are destiny, uh, um, like symbolisms. So the turn of destiny is here, and maybe you are feeling that you have to you have to take all the things that you've been thinking about and started, and maybe you have to realize that you need to go other way. Okay, so the north node in Pisces, alliances that transcend strategic logic, agreements woven from shared necessities, and the south node in Virgo, patterns to release, technical analysis that paralyzes, management that misses the bigger picture. So Uranus in Gemini square the axis. Uranus is a planet of unexpected rupture. Gemini governs information, trade, technology, data flows. It sits in the house of economic resources, as I show you in the chart, the second house. Okay, what this square describes is a shift already underway. On One, this moon makes undeniable the reconfiguration of the global technological and commercial blocks. Europe cutting digital dependencies, China consolidating its domains in energy and artificial intelligence, and the US rewriting its trade rules unilaterally. The shifts is not a future trend. It is a bifurcation that has already happened. This moon registers it is as an irreversible fact. Chiron in Toro squaring Jupiter and Pluto, the wound that blocks. We have to understand that the entering of Chiron in Toro is the wound of the financial system, and is getting into Toro in squaring Pluto, and is squaring Jupiter. So this is not something simple. This is big. This is really, really big. Okay, Chiron in Toro, the wound in material security, access to basic resources, energy, food at the first degree of the sign, the reverse point, the one that has just opened. Squaring Jupiter, so versus Jupiter, because remember that this is a fight. The narrative of prosperity and protection collides with the concrete reality of millions who never accesses to that protection. The gap between the discourse and the lived experience cannot longer be covered up. Versus Pluto, fighting with Pluto, deep systemic transformation hits a real obstacle. No reorganization of the system works if the material base does not hold on. Institutions need concrete resources to function. The wounding material resources is a point of tension that blocks both expansion and transformation. This is not a metaphor. It is the energy crisis that did not end, the inflation that did not ease, and the debt that keep growing. So we have here Mars and Uranus in Gemini in the house 2, the economy under tension. Mars activates, fires, accelerates. Uranus breaks, interrupts, surprises. Gemini duplicates everything, competing versions. And both planets together in the house governing resources, budget, and the trade produce the most volatile economic scenario possible. Decisions that arrive suddenly, contradictory data, announcements that get corrected, markets that react before anyone finish processing what happened. In a context where the agreements on the Strait of Hormuz are still under review and the global trade war has not yet found its equilibrium, this conjunction describes economic tension with not clear resolution point, only successive pressure spikes. Over the next 6 months, the economics news will keep arriving fast, contradictory, and hard to anchor. What else? The 6 months this moon opens, the full moon in Capricorn does not announce what is coming. It illuminates, like we are seeing everything. The real cost of the conflicts, not the victory narrative, the concrete number, lies, debt, energy, the reputation of the states that lead those or these months. So United States and Donald J. Trump is getting really complicated, specifically because he's having the middle term elections this year. The gap between promises and experience, what governments promised and what populations received, already visible, this moon locks it in place. The reconfiguration of global order, commercial and technological blocks are no longer what they were a year ago. The bifurcation has already happened. And the wound in the material security, not as a statical figure, as lived daily experience processing upward from below against every structured power. Okay? Those who know the cycle don't leave it by surprise. So we have sessions available, opening for you. So this report is a map of the moment and the challenge it presents, what it takes for us in the next 6 months, okay? And the context that we are living and the context where you are making decisions, building projects, and navigating your life. So you can write us to the school in www.carolinamar.com and you can book your session, your personal reading, and see your moments, see your chart, see your sky right now, so you can have more information about the decisions that you need to make and where is your life going with all the events that we are having, astrologically speaking. So I thank you all for share and see you in my next video.